And as I said, the key thing here, we're playing in, in spaces in oncology, in these cancer immunotherapy space, and in the GLP-1 space. Very attractive to pharma. They're looking for deals, they're looking for companies to work within this space. So we feel we have, very positive outlook in that regard.
Hello, you're watching Proactive. I'm joined by Poolbeg Pharma CEO Jeremy Skillington. Jeremy, great to speak with you again. You're up to your interim results this morning. Could you share some of the key highlights, please?
Yeah, happy to do that. Good to see you again. Busy year for Poolbeg, busy half a year, I guess. We ended the period, so that's at the end of June, with 10 million in cash, and that included a kind of an upsize, oversubscribed fundraise we did earlier in the year, 4.865 million. So we're happily, to report this extends our cash runway into 2027, and again, this will support many of our key clinical milestones that are in the not too distant future. We already reached one of these important milestones by securing the approved bispecific antibody for our upcoming phase 2A clinical trial with POLB 001. And again, that's free of charge. And that's an advanced stage of trial preparation. We kind of announced again very recently that we've signed up with a specialist blood cancer organization to conduct that trial. So again, as I say, planning is in preparation for that trial, and it's moving along well. So the important thing about this trial is that we're very much focused on partnering at Poolbeg, lots of discussions that are ongoing. And as I say, having this data from the 2A trial will really kind of accelerate that. And earlier this year, we did get orphan drug designation from the US FDA, which again, partners like to see that they have benefits from that, such as 7-year market exclusivity. So all very, very positive. Things are moving forward, and not to forget our oral GLP-1 program, which again is gearing up for the proof of concept clinical trial.
We'll get back to that in just a moment, Jeremy, but you mentioned that major update last week for POLB 001. For those who missed it, could you quickly remind us about it?
Yeah, absolutely. Again, very important clinical trial for the company. We've done a lot of preclinical work. We have some clinical data, so pointing in the right direction. And now the next step is to get us into 2A, which essentially is in patients. So this will be in relapsed remitting multiple myeloma patients. So we said a lot of work is in place for that. As I mentioned, the important milestone or important step is getting access to this approved bispecific antibody, again, happily at no cost to Poolbeg. And again, having the organization accelerating clinical trials to run this study for us. Again, very important. The trial itself, the principal investigator or lead investigator will be Dr. Emma Searle. And Emma, again, obviously has been helping us all the way along. She's a consultant hematologist at the Christie in Manchester, and also an honorary senior lecturer at the University of Manchester. Very knowledgeable, very experienced, as I say. So the trial will take place at the Christie with some other sites as well. We'll discuss later on. But so the important thing is that it's a single arm, open label clinical trial. So that gives us access to clinical data very quickly. So as I say, as the data kind of comes through, and again, we expect to have interim data in the summer of 2026. Then we can kind of start sharing that with our pharma colleagues, again, for partnering purposes. And again, there is a high demand for this prevention or somebody to prevent cytokine release syndrome associated with these cancer immunotherapies. And we think POLB 001 is an excellent candidate to achieve this.
Jeremy, what kind of impacts could POLB 001 make for cancer patients, health systems, and also for the companies?
We believe this will be very, very important. We think it'll be very transformative. Pardon me, for these kind of cancer treatments. By essentially what's happening right now when people receive cancer immunotherapies, because of the risk of this cytokine storm, cytokine release syndrome, they have to stay in these dedicated cancer clinics. So we believe if you can prevent CRS, then they can move it more into the community hospital setting and potentially even a GP setting. So it's kind of taking the pressure off the immune system. Taking the pressure off the healthcare system, pardon me, to be able to get these to kind of patients as they're in a more convenient setting. They don't have to travel to the big city, for example, to get their medicines. They can stay close to home. And I think as I say, upwards of 70% of patients develop or get this CRS after receiving these cancer immunotherapies, bispecific antibodies. So again, if we can prevent CRS from occurring, that opens up a whole host of doors for, as I say, taking the pressure off the healthcare system. But importantly, and I think this is where it's of interest to pharma companies, is that getting these cancer immunotherapies into the community setting, it'll get access to more patients. More patients will receive their drug, and of course, because of that, they'll generate additional revenues, as well as revenues on top of what POLB 001 itself will generate. So lots of benefits, to going on here. And again, we've estimated independently that this is a greater than $10 billion market. So a big unmet need and a large marketplace and tremendous benefits down the road.
Talking about another large marketplace, you mentioned your oral GLP-1 program, Jeremy. How's that progressing? Because there's been a lot of news around obesity treatments in recent weeks. What's the opportunity for Poolbeg?
Absolutely. I mean, it's what's kind of interesting is that we got into this oral GLP-1, just as everything was kind of exploding. People got excited about the impact and benefits that these GLP-1 drugs had on diabetes initially, then obesity. And there's a lot of kind of knock-on effects with reducing weight loss. You see cardiovascular benefits, renal, kidney benefits. So there's a lot of excitement in this space. And the proof of concept is there. But the majority of these drugs are given by injection. So we have partnered with AnaBio, who have this terrific encapsulation technology, which then will allow you to kind of give these peptides orally. So I give the example, like, taking your, GLP-1 at breakfast time and kind of carrying on with your day, no injections, so you'll get greater compliance, and I think more convenience, obviously. So we've put a lot of pieces in place for this clinical trial. Principal investigator will be Professor Carel Le Roux, he'll run this at the University of Ulster, and he's globally recognized, as a metabolic disease doc. It's very excited to work with Carel on this. And as I say, this is a very rapid trial, and this is kind of in line with Poolbeg and what we do. This is a very quick study, and we expect to enroll about 20 obese subjects to receive this oral GLP-1. We'll do our clinical data analysis, and we expect to have data in the first half of 2026. So very rapid study. So again, looking for that, and we do believe that on the back of that clinical data, this will draw interest and attract some key pharma players to partner the program with. Because again, we're not the company that will take this into these very large phase 2, phase 3 clinical trials. That we leave that up to pharma. But as I say, so there is genuine interest in these oral delivered drugs. And I think what's interesting, and again, as an aside, maybe the encapsulation technology we use, we do have a broad license to this for all metabolic conditions. So there's the potential to use the same platform technology into other diseases, other metabolic diseases, let's say for other peptides. So lots to play here, lots to do, and as I say, looking forward to having that data.
Jeremy, looking ahead, what should investors be particularly excited about, and why should they invest now?
Yeah, I think number one, with the 10 million we have in the bank, that stretches us runway into 2027. We're well capitalized, and I think that's obviously should give some comfort. And again, heading into this this catalyst-rich period as well, I think we'll have a lot of milestones coming down the track, a lot of RNSs, a lot of updates to give the market. So hopefully that'll will impact positively the share price. The team, I always refer back to our team here, terrific team on execution, lots of experience in the industry, in transactions, in clinical trial execution. So again, that should give confidence as well. And as I said, the key thing here, we're playing in in spaces in oncology, in these cancer immunotherapy space, and in the GLP-1 space. Very attractive to pharma. They're looking for deals, they're looking for companies to work within this space. So we feel we have very positive outlook in that regard again. So a lot of things are coming together well for us. So happy with progress this year, but we do have kind of this energy and appetite to kind of keep things moving rapidly. And again, looking forward to seeing the data for both the POLB 001 and the oral GLP-1 trials next year.
Jeremy, I hope you'll keep us posted with your progress on that. Thank you very much for taking the time today.
Of course, appreciate it. Thank you.
Jeremy Skillington, the CEO of Poolbeg Pharma.